Welcome to Shobnall Fields, the Social Route and Green Street YouTube channel. Today we're joined by Burton Pride. They're going to talk about their history of growing up in the community in the 60s and 70s.
Well, he is. I'm far too young for that.
He's too old, he's way old.
Yeah.
He's the grandpa.
Yes.
Well, we affectionately call him Grandad in our friend group.
That's what I'm calling the friends group. Anyway, yes, so growing up, in the 1970s, it just didn't really affect me because I was just a child, but for the community, there was a thing with Margaret Thatcher and Mary Whitehouse, who made it a law. I'm just trying to think of the law. I can't see it in my notes, but never mind.
I believe it was Section 28, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Section 28 of the
Local Government Act.
There you go. You see, he knows what you're talking about. I don't. So yes, it was very talking about anything that was LGBTQ wasn't allowed in schools with sex education or anything like that. But that slowly changed. The first gay pride was in 1972 in England. That was in London, and that went really well. And that started off what was known as Gay News, which was the magazine. So things started from there. As I was growing up, my influences were people like Hannah Mant and that, but I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. But yeah, so we slowly grew up. One of my other influences was a Channel 4 programme called Get a Queer as Folk, which looked at the lifestyle and different dynamics. Now you have the Hipster on Channel 4.
You have Heartstopper on Netflix.
Heartstopper.
You also have It's a Sin, which is also a Channel 4-led queer programme that was filmed on my university campus when I was at university. The closest I've got to stardom is passing Stephen Fry in the uni canteen.
There you go. So the up to date the Netflix Heartstoppers. Was it Heartstoppers? Or?
Yeah, Heartstopper is the one you gush over.
That is really good because it goes into so many different subjects and explores it really well for the whole range of LGBTQ plus. That's worth watching if you haven't done it already. So that's a brief history
of what it was like.
What it was like growing up in the 1970s. And in the 90s, it just became more and more almost kind of fashionable to be gay. But yes, it just became more acceptable as time went on. And as time goes on, every town seems to have a pride these days, apart from Burton. But hopefully this year we'll have a pride.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Although for you, Si, your experience growing up is a lot different from mine because I'm one of them cool 90s kids, you see. My joints feel like they're in their 80s.
Yeah, my joints do too.
But it's one of them, being of the generation of the 1998, growing up in the noughties and the teens, me coming out the closet is just seen as pretty normal. I think my family kind of expected it anyway. I mean, I'm not subtle in the slightest. For me, it's just a case of trying to work on something, but also remembering the past, because though we like to celebrate the positives of LGBT, you've got to remember in the past, Pride started as a riot. It started with Stonewall. It started as a fight for our rights. It wasn't an excuse to go get drunk in a field. Admittedly, it's nice getting drunk in a field sometimes. Drink responsibly, kids. But yeah, it's now more celebration than rioting, but you got to remember the roots. Even iconic members of the war effort. We all know of Alan Turing. Yes, he's been nodded now on the £50 note. I wish I could get a few more of the £50 notes, but that's a different issue altogether. But we all know he cracked the Enigma code. He was a national hero, and then it came out he was a member of the LGBT community, and he was forced to be chemically castrated, and in the end, that's what caused him to unalive himself. And it's just tragic that it took so long for him to be posthumously pardoned for his breach of the law at that time. Thankfully now we are in a more progressive society, but it's still very scary when you look at what's happening in other corners of the globe. We've all seen about Trump and his policies, and all the policies around it. It's a dichotomy of what it's like living in the social media age. We are at war with each other, and hell hath no fury if you have a differing opinion.
Or drag queen scorned. I thought I'd just put that in there. Sorry. Sorry, was
That's
that?
a good point.
Does that answer your question? What was the question?
Under the Margaret Thatcher era, we've gone over why it's important to teach. Hitler LGBTQ. Do you want to add more to that? Why is it important to teach it in schools?
Oh, it's important to teach in school. I think the reason it's important is for the same reason religious education looks at all religions, not just one religion, is that when all differences are looked at and taught, people have the information to choose or understand. When I was growing up, not understanding why all my friends found girlfriends and went off with girlfriends, and I was like, okay, but and then I tried to have a girlfriend which didn't really work out, and I was still kind of interested in hanging out with my mate Bruce, and that was my first boyfriend. So my mum caught us, and that was the end of that. So that's why I think it's important to have it taught in schools that this is how some people may feel or have leanings into, and it's all right to be different, because we are all different, as Moji Python would say.
What do you think about the most recent attacks on trans communities?
I'll chime in on this one.
Personally,
I'm finding it a bit scary because though I'm not trans, I am the B in the LGBT community.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a B sometimes as well, darlings. But yes, I've got lots of trans friends, and it's very scary because I'm worrying about them because they do not feel safe. Even when they're hanging out with safe people, there's always the risk of being attacked by others. But people just want to get on with their lives, and it's just another roadblock in the way of just us trying to live.
Yeah, personally, with the attack by Donald Trump, removing the teeth on most government website over there.
Well,
I could say a lot of things about Trump, but
Yeah.
I would get you demonetised.
Yes. I mean, the thing is, what I think they're doing wrong is taking away some people's voice, some people's.
Moving the microphone closer.
I'm moving the microphone. I'm sorry. What I think is dangerous is people's voice being moved away. I'm going to quote Jenny Taylor, who's a writer for the television program Star Trek and The Next Generation. In this episode called Drumhead, John McCard, Captain McCard, says this: with the first chain link forged, with the first speech censored, with the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, changes us all inequitably. Can't say it now. Irreversibly. What that means is when someone is forbidden to think a certain way, behave a certain way, changes the whole community, and that for good, because we're not seeing that person, we're denying that person, where it takes away the richness of our community, of the whole society as a whole, rather than just one thing. So saying there is no third gender, for some people is really bad. I know some people are saying yes, that's great, but I don't know if it is.
It is a very tumultuous time that we're living in at this time, and you've got to remember to be kind to people, because you don't know what they're going through inside their heads. And it's again back to the era. We're living in an era of social media where it's polarized into extreme opinions either side, and it's very impossible to sit on the fence anymore, because then you get called out for it by both sides.
Yes. Yeah. Here we go. So, what's the question?
I think that's go through all the points really. We've done it in one big question really, because we've gone over countries and what the white bring in their country too. Also, we've gone through how do it feel about the rise of the far right and their disconnect from global movement and public reception. What the left hand, I don't want to say the left or the no community can do to combat the rise of people don't want to accept reality.
Unfortunately, anything political is going to be charged. You just have to see current government in at the moment. They're very mixed bag, but it's a case of you get what you vote for, and it's sometimes you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I know that I'm going to admit here, I'm not fully happy with the current government we've got in, but I accept we voted for him. It's a bit like the EU referendum. If you remember, you were too young to remember this, Cameron. But
I was live. I was 16.
They almost let you have a vote then. Almost. You might have changed the outcome.
I was 16 years old.
Yeah, I was, however old I was at the time. I'm losing track. I think I might have just recently turned 18 at the time. So it probably might have been my first election. But, well, election, referendum, same difference, right? But I voted to remain because I see the benefits of what it is to be in the EU, but I am a big enough man to admit I lost. I'm not going to go out and protest because I didn't get my way. I'm not going to throw a tantrum because the democratic rights that I had didn't go in my favour. There are better things to protest about. There are more important things to protest about. When rights are being taken away, that's what we should be protesting about, rather than a political choice that has been chosen by the greater community. Whether it's good or bad is up to personal debate. But for the sake of democracy, we still all got the choice. And the funny thing is, a lot of people moaning didn't even bother and go out and vote. So if you're not going to go out and vote, you really don't have a point to make. Even if you go out and spoil your ballot, it still shows that you've made an effort. But to sit at home and just live in apathy is just a slippery slope to making sure that we as a society keep falling and falling. I know I I am very proud of my democratic right. I nearly didn't get to vote in the last election because of my homeless status, but I was able to sort it out to put my X in the box of the candidate I chose. I'm going to admit, some elections in the past, I haven't had the best choice of voting. I mean, on one previous election, I voted for a guy just because he shared a name with me. I'm thinking, he's called Isaac, he can't be that bad. But I also went out and voted. That's the important part. You got to get out there. You got to use your voice for good, whether it be the X in the box, or your voice on the loudspeaker, or even a drag queen singing a fun song.
Yeah. So, yes, so sad that's...
Most of the point we wanted to go through.
Yeah. That the importance of pride is not just to go and have a party in the park.
Yes, it's nice.
That's nice, but it is so we can stand. We can solidarity. Yeah, solidarity. You get a lot of people feel isolated most of the time because they feel a certain way and they feel that they're the only gay in the village, if I want to take Little Britain, but they're not, and there is a whole community out there and support and very supportive. So that's the reason we are doing Pride, so people have a place to be and have a voice to be heard. So that's the importance.
Yeah, and we're working with our local partners and stakeholders. So we've got a partnership in place at this stage with Burton and District Mind, who are a local mental health charity and a franchisee of the Bigger Mind Corporation itself. And they're there to support mental health issues. They've found that those in the LGBT communities are less likely to reach out for help due to the stigma attached to us. Mental health has always been a big issue for just everyone, but even more so those in the LGBT plus community. And we're hopeful as a Pride organisation to support those in the community. And there's so many people so deep in the closet they're finding Christmas presents. They're afraid of who they are, and we need to make sure we let people know that they can be safe in who they are. It's okay to be gay, it's okay to be bi, it's okay to be trans, it's okay to be ace. It's okay to be you.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, that's it. You make some good point in the film. We're going to end it off there. I hope you like the film. Click that subscribe button. And click that like button. Don't let the notification button and go buy me a coffee on the sponsored website. Bye for now and bye.